I'm so glad that it's now fall and I can get away with wearing beanies like every single day because I have not dyed my hair in 8 months. So my roots are like, they're growing out. By the way, not a natural redhead. I've explained that in the past. I'm a brunette. If you don't believe me, the brown hair's there. Sorry to burst y'all's bubble. I know you like to think I'm a real redhead, I'm not. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about Halloween Kills, and I got my shirt on. They sent me some beautiful merch, thank you. So this video will be spoiler free because the movie comes out the day I'm filming this video, so I don't wanna, I'm assuming most of you have not seen it yet, so I'm not gonna put a lot of spoilers in this. So to start, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I wasn't super excited about this movie or this trilogy and this modern Halloween trilogy. While I'm excited, well, I don't wanna say excited, while I think it's cool that Halloween, Scream, Chucky, classic horror movies are kind of being rebooted or remade or adding some sequels in there. It's cool that they're coming out with new installments. I'm just a little tired and I'm not super excited about pretty much any of them. I know. How can I be like a horror fan and not be super excited about new horror? I think it's because I'm just tired of being in the era of reboots, remakes, and sequels. Let me know if I'm alone in that. If anyone else is like, oh, that's cool, but I'm not like, stoked about it. I'm more excited for the original horror that we're getting this year, like Nightmare Alley, Antlers, Last Night in Soho, things like that, even Lamb. Things like that are what I'm mostly excited about, and like the M. Night Shyamalan originals and things like that. Not the reboots and the remakes and stuff from classic old school horror movies. I just wish we'd step out of that for a little while. I know we're getting kind of the best of both worlds. This is a great time to be a horror fan, but I am kind of tired of it. So I just want to, have most new original and new stories and things like that. I don't want to look back on this era of the 2010s and 2020s when I'm old and be like, ah, yes, that was the great era of remakes of stuff that I've already seen from the 80s and the 90s. Anyway, I just wanted to make that disclaimer that generally wasn't really excited about this trilogy anyway and like the Halloween movies coming out. Of course, I did go see it though. I liked the first one. It wasn't my favorite movie that year or anything. It was a movie that I had to kind of sleep on to really decide that I liked it because it was kind of just a little generic for me. I think I gave it like 3 stars out of 5. It was fine. I'd recommend it. I'd rewatch it. I haven't, but I would. I do wish I rewatched it before going into Halloween Kills. So that I do recommend if you're going to go see Halloween Kills, rewatch the first one. But it just kind of felt like a standard type of horror movie, and so it wasn't really anything special to me. That being said, another disclaimer, Halloween generally is not my favorite franchise. You know this already, but I will say immediately after leaving the theater for Halloween Kills, I loved it. On an entertainment level, this movie had a lot going on. I liked all of the subplots. This just had more going on. I think it even has more kills in it. Everything within Halloween Kills kept it interesting and intriguing for me, and I had so many different reactions to this movie, whereas the first one I was just kind of like, eh. This one I was on a roller coaster, man, for the whole movie, and the gore. Dear Lord. So this movie picks up right where the last one ends, when Michael Myers escapes from Laurie Strode's trap and they're taken to a hospital where a mob forms that are determined to take down Michael for good. This movie is also directed by David Gordon Green, with John Carpenter and Jason Blum producing. The first thing I will say as far as criticism, we're not going to get to the criticism yet, but the first thing I will say is that the original score that John Carpenter remixed, or remade I guess, for the 2018 Halloween movie was 10 times better than this one. This one had a lot more piano going on and a little bit slower. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do for the theme in Halloween Ends next year. But Halloween 2018 remade theme, I blast that in my car every single October. It is so good. So Halloween Kills is actually Jamie Lee Curtis's 6th time reprising her role as Laurie Strode over 6 different decades. I can't believe that. So now she has surpassed Dr. Loomis as far as the most appearances in the franchise. Nick Castle also did return to this movie to portray some of the Michael Myers scenes. Also, there were other characters from the original movie, such as Tommy Doyle and Lonnie Elam, that returned to this story. However, they were recast. They weren't the original actors. However, Kyle Richards makes a return for this movie and portrays her original character from the original movie, Lindsay Wallace, and I was actually really excited when this was announced. I don't know why. I think it's because I like Real Housewives generally. I really like those, you know, trashy kind of reality shows. And so I was excited to see what Kyle Richards was going to bring to it. And I assumed it would be a smaller role, and I was kind of right. Her role wasn't super relevant. I wasn't expecting much from her, I'm not going to lie, not to be mean or anything, but she's a child actor. I don't think she's acted in a while if you know, don't count Real Housewives. But I was pleasantly surprised by Kyle Richards' acting, and I actually really liked her in this movie. That's so random, but I liked it. There's also a lot of homages to previous Halloween films in the franchise. So Halloween Kills was definitely way more interesting and more of a roller coaster in so many different ways than the first one. I don't want to compare them too much. I don't want to constantly be like, compared to the first one. But I don't know. I just feel like I need to make that comparison because the first one I didn't like that much. Like, it was fine. It was just fine. But I liked this one so much more. And I did not expect that because I don't typically think sequels are better than the original. I mean, there's, you know, instances where that is the case and it's very obvious. I think this is one of those situations where the sequel is just objectively better. I don't want to say objectively though. I hate for that. This is a traditional slasher in the best way. The first one was a little bit more of a traditional slasher in a bad way. So this one has a lot of gore and a lot of story. So if that's something that you're into and it just feels like an old school slasher movie, then this is the one. Like, this is a good one. Multiple times during this movie, I had to look away. And that's pretty rare for me to have to look away from a movie. Like, for gore to bother me is pretty strange these days, just because I rewatch Saw all the time. Even my partner agreed that this movie felt way more brutal than any of the other Halloween movies. I mean, we all know Michael Myers is relentless. Like, he just kills anything in his path. So it wasn't like I was surprised by that or anything. But damn, did some of the scenes get me. They really got me. I don't even think it was the gore that was that bothersome. There was one scene of gore that was very traumatic, but beyond that, generally, I don't think the gore was what bothered me. It was the manner in which they died, because they get creative in this one. There's, you know, the traditional kind of Michael Myers deaths, but then there's some like really intense ones that I just didn't see coming and were so brutal. Needless to say, it's a super high body count in this one. I think it's more than the first one. I don't know that for sure. Don't quote me on that, but if you want to correct me in the comments, please let me know. Now for some of the criticisms of this movie. It's not perfect. I enjoyed it a lot on entertainment level. I liked the gore and the deaths. It got a lot of reaction out of me, which is really kind of rare, and just I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie. However, that doesn't mean it doesn't have its faults. There's like an A plot, a B plot, and a C plot in this one, and the storyline with Lindsay Wallace and Tommy Doyle and stuff like that is kind of a C plot, and I feel like it was just kind of in there for fan service to bring back old characters, so we're like really invested in it. I mean, Tommy did lead the hench mob and it worked for the story, and for the like B plot and the A plot, it worked for it, but I just feel like there was a lot of characters brought back and maybe one too many brought back. I don't want to say too many storylines, because I actually did enjoy all of the different things going on. I think that's one of the ways that this movie stayed interesting, was all of the plot lines going on, and it would kind of jump around, and given that, it would help build the suspense between scenes, which I thought was really effective. So that storyline wasn't too deep and did feel like a fan service, and I kind of recognized it as a fan service versus feeling like it belonged truly in the story. This movie does the classic tell, not show, which is frustrating. You know already how much I hate being spoon-fed information, and there's a lot of like, not a lot of symbolism, but there's like a metaphor in this movie, and I would have actually really appreciated it and mentioned it. However, it is just directly told to us at one point what is happening. And I wasn't a fan of that. I liked the metaphor and the whole, you know, symbolism and everything there, but the fact that they had to tell me what was going on when I already knew, like, I'm not dumb. We're not dumb. We know what's going on. Also, way too predictable of a movie. I would say that I knew every single thing that was gonna happen, from the children trick-or-treating, from the deaths, from each character, who's gonna die, who's not gonna die. Everything was predictable. Every single thing. I don't think one thing caught me off guard, besides the deaths, of course. Like, like I didn't see how they were gonna die. The death scenes obviously weren't super predictable and they did not disappoint, so it's worthwhile for me personally to watch this movie for those scenes specifically. And I actually liked that the Strodes weren't the primary focus of the entire movie, because we do get that in the first one a lot. We get a lot of them, and this one they're kind of on the back burner. We jump around in plots like I mentioned, but I like that there was a lot more to this movie and a lot more storylines and people to follow and, you know, things like that, and that the Strodes weren't like the only focus. Also, I just want to say that I cried in this movie. I did not expect to tear up at this movie, let me tell you. I am on my period, I just want to clarify, but they did such a great job on building the tension. Oh my gosh, like it was torturous at times how tense this movie got, and I would even say that some of the jump scares got me in a good way. I was not mad about the jump scares in this movie. So horror-wise, Halloween Kills was so effective. One of the most effective horror movies I'd say that I'd seen, at least within this year, if not in the past couple years. I do want to point out though that I've also been continuously having nightmares. Normally I like a good nightmare. I love nightmares, especially apocalyptic ones or like zombie ones. I have a lot of those. But I've been having a lot where I'm stabbed. Like, I feel like I know now what being stabbed feels like because I've dreamt it so many times. Also, being chased by someone with a knife, eventually losing, that I dream constantly lately. I don't know what it is. Mercury retrograde? I don't know. But I think that's another reason why this movie was so, like, terrifying to me, because I've been constantly seeing these types of things in my dreams lately. So maybe it wouldn't be as effective for all of you, because I assume not all of you are having nightmares like that, but I don't know. To me, it still holds up and is still terrifying despite me just like having that different perspective. It's almost embarrassing. I don't want to be embarrassed, but it almost feels a little embarrassing to say that a Halloween movie scared me. I don't know why that feels, I don't know. Maybe because it's such an old school horror franchise that, like, you know, typically does not get to me. Michael Myers is not generally scary to me. You guys know I like supernatural stuff, although arguably he is. I just think the Halloween franchise, we've come to know what to expect from them, and it still got me, which is just kind of embarrassing as like a hardcore horror fan. I don't want to say hardcore. As a horror fan, I am a little, you know, surprised that it scared me so much. Like, it's really rare for me to feel scared anyway watching horror. I'm just very, you know, I watch a lot of it, so I typically don't feel that. So for a Halloween movie to do that, was not expecting it. But I'll take it. I can't wait to watch it again. Maybe I'll go see it in theaters again. It was really good. Generally, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. I do think it's better than the first one, and I would rewatch this. Like, I am looking forward to rewatching this, you know, for the Halloween season, year after year. I would probably stick to this one than the first one. I feel like the first one gives enough build up to this one. So if you've seen the first one, you get it. I would definitely recommend it to the right people who are looking for a lot of gore. If gore and slasher movies are not your thing, this is not your movie, let me tell you, because it's a lot of gore. Surprised me, like shocked me. And I've seen Halloween, like I know what to expect, but this one, it's pretty fucked up. But it's a great slasher. I think it's a great modern slasher movie with a lot of homages to traditional slasher movies, which I think makes the perfect recipe. I would love to hear your thoughts about this movie once you go and watch it. I highly recommend watching it in the theaters if you can. It is on streaming at the same time. I think on Peacock or HBO Max. I forget which streaming service is gonna have Halloween Kills right now, but it's also streaming, so you can, you know, chill at home if you want to. But the theater experience is fun, and I would recommend it. So when you do watch it, come back to this video, leave a comment, tell me your thoughts on Halloween Kills. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.